Yeah.
Dude, Lexi's in there being loud. She's still fucking banging.
Hi everyone. We're gonna just wait a couple more minutes and let people start trickling in, and then we will begin. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, they want to throw them in the comments section. Go ahead and do that now. That will give me some time to take a look at them. Also, there is about a 10-second delay. So from the time you guys send something in, I may not get it right away. Again, because there's a 10-second delay. Wait, no, I didn't. Okay. Hi everybody. Hi Scarlett. Hi Julia. Hi Amanda. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay. Hi everybody. Hi Scarlett. Hi Julia. Hi Amanda. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay. Again, there is a pretty sizable delay. It's about actually 13 seconds, so we're going to go ahead and begin. So I want to thank everybody for coming on board and watching. Hi Scarlett. Hi Julia. Hi Amanda. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for coming on and joining our first Q&A that we're having for the podcast. I want to touch on the cases that we did today, Andrew DeWeese and April Jones. With April Jones's case, it was kind of challenging because not a lot of people came forward, and I don't think it necessarily was because people didn't want to. I think it was there's a lot of people that just aren't willing to come forward because they're scared of whatever reason. And I totally get that. I don't live in those areas. I don't live in that town, and it is a close knit group. And so I get it. The one thing that though I think will help this case on both Will and April's case is that the more people that come forward and be heard and tell their story, I think that the likelihood that more truth comes forward and we can help them and solve the case. With Andrew's case, we had a lot of people that were willing to come forward, and that's very, very helpful. The other thing, though, with Andrew's case is I don't see a lot being done on the law enforcement side, and it's unfortunate that in most of these cases where there's drug addiction or there is criminal history or there's mental illness, these cases kind of just fall by the wayside, and it can be troubling and difficult. But we did a large audience. We kind of beat last week's audience for these cases, which I think is good. The more we're able to get these stories out, the better. The ability for you guys to reach out to your friends and people on your groups to reach out, and it does affect the way that these cases are heard because they don't get the media attention or the attention period by anyone, including law enforcement. So the best that we can do is continue to share and be their voice because no one's doing it for them. I'm just going to take a look and make sure we're not missing any questions real quick. Okay. You said I'm repeating in the background. Okay, it's good now. Okay. Yeah, I had to, for some reason, the dashboard of the app that I'm using is not showing me the comments. So what I've had to do is use my phone, and it's, but I'm getting it. It's my first time, so bear with me. These are just the kinks. I want to go over real quick kind of why I started doing this too, and because a lot of people keep asking me how'd you get into this. I would sit in an office and listen to true crime podcasts and stories, and I would always ask myself, why didn't the person ask this question, or why didn't they ask this question? Why are they only talking to one person? So I've always had the mindset that you have to go into it like you're doing an investigation. Think of it from an investigator standpoint, not necessarily a journalistic standpoint. Because you can have one person talking, but you necessarily don't have all views. You know, it's a 360. It's a 360 view of the story, and if you're not doing that, and that I think that does a disservice to the people missing and the families. So what I try to do is get everybody involved that knows the person, family member. I'm not saying we're going to have 80 people on a podcast episode, but if we have enough information, I may talk to 80 people and put a select few on, but the more people you talk to, it kind of paints the picture a lot better. Also, information you might get from one source or another source, you can compare the stories and try to corroborate and get yourself a baseline for what may, have happened, or again, rumor and innuendo. With a lot of these cases is kind of just, it runs rampant. So the more people you speak with, the better. So Leanne asked me, do you think you'll be able to get to Jacob Sweet's case? The good news is yes. I did speak to George and Amanda on Wednesday evening, and there's a couple of things I want to do with Jacob's case first. So how the process works is I get a case and then I begin doing the background work on it. And I don't want to just rush and put a case out there without having all the information, what the police can tell me, if anything, and then the odds and ends of a case that might have an impact on solvability, or will it be able to give you answers. So I speak to the parties and then gather the information. It can take a week or two, and then we can move forward with the case. So there will be, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to be doing Jacob's case not this week but next week. So it will be on there. Jessica Stacks. Jessica Stacks case, I just came to me today, as a matter of fact. So I'm not 100% familiar with it, and so I will be working on that. I do have a lot of people that are helping me with this. And first, I want to real quick take a moment, and I want to thank Karen Knuckles Phillips, Julia Fichette, Christine Rose. You guys have been very helpful in kind of steering me in the right direction. Again, I'm not a professional podcaster. This is something that, it was just a passion that I wanted to try and do, and not make a fool out of myself while I was doing it. And they have been a tremendous help to me, volunteering their time, speaking with me, and I want to thank them very much. I could not do and gone as far as I have with their help, as well as my wife, who's very, very supportive in my family. So thank you guys for being helpful. So I'm just going back and reading some of these. Do you think? So one of the questions was, do I think April disappeared from Sardis or Crowder? What I thought was interesting about April's case was, we've all been told, or had the understanding, that April and Will disappeared together around the same time. I'm more of the idea that it's a possibility, but I think one might have happened before the other. I also found it striking that when I spoke with Lexi, she talked to her mother at being at the hotel with Dusty and Jamie, who, by the way, I want to apologize. I was told that Jamie was a male and Jamie is a female, so I apologize for making that mistake. Should have checked. But anyway, that being said, so she was at a hotel. April was at a hotel with Jamie and Dusty, and Will wasn't brought up. Now this was a couple of days before she supposedly went missing. Is it a possibility that she did disappear? I want to say yes. After the hotel, I believe that. I also believe that the statement that she made, that she was kind of running from people, or she was trying to run away from people, was also very telling. And so yeah, it's likely that the last place she was that hotel, and then she disappeared. So yeah, I do believe that. Let's see here. So a lot of these cases, there's information that I acquire while doing it that I do not talk about, and that's for several reasons. One, with the hopes that they're actively investigating the cases, and I always go on that premise that all of these cases are being actively investigated. So there are things that I will not say on the air or in a video, because I think that might hurt the case. Two, there are things that sources tell me that either I have not been able to confirm, or that I have confirmed, and it could be a touch and go thing. So I don't necessarily bring that up. I kind of keep it to myself. Lastly, when it comes to information, we have to be very, very careful that information that we put out that's not sourced, that's just irresponsible. If I were to say, Mr. X was walking down the street and was pushed into a car, somebody told me that, but I didn't do my job, my due diligence to check it out. I just can't put that information out there. I won't do it. I do not like making retractions like I just did because I made a mistake, so I try not to do that. Let's see. A cryptic message to both people. She said, "Do you want to see my magic trick?" Yeah, so I looked at that. I actually just got that today, as a matter of fact. I don't know if that was trying to get people to, if those two individuals to come and see her where she was at. That's a phrase I've heard before, used in jest or joking. So I'm not too. I don't want to speculate too much on that. It is cryptic. I would agree with that 100%. However, it's kind of open ended. Do you want to see my magic trick? It could be code for something. It could be just, hey, you want to see my magic trick? So it could mean a multitude of things, and just to speculate on that would be, I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. But it is a very interesting message that she left. I think with that and the statement she made with her daughter regarding worrying about people that were after her, I think it's very telling. So, and that's something that I didn't know prior to taking on the case. It's something that was left out. So, any news on? So, with regards to Chris Sanders, there has not been any new information after the second episode that came out last week. However, that being said, I do have several people that I've got numbers of people that I can contact that I'm going to be speaking with. With Chris Sanders' case, the issue at first was Angela. Not having spoken with Angela when I did the first episode, and we were able to do that. Now, that being said, not everybody is happy with Angela's responses to some of the questions, statements that she made. And I have to try to remain neutral with the information given, because, again, the whole point was to get people talking. The more people talk, the more, the more information and the blanks start getting filled in. The other person, though, that's key into Chris Sanders' case is going to be Cody. And I have yet to speak with him. And I've reached out to everyone I possibly can, even to go on and make videos. I need to speak to him. And if you're watching, or if somebody sees him, I would love to talk to you, because you're integral in several ways. One, the night Chris is at that get together and everybody's talking and he's on the phone. Excuse me. Two, the day after, the day he supposedly goes missing, you speak to him, or Cody speaks to him, and that's a big deal. And I think it's very important to get that information. Those are blanks that I need filled in, or Sandy needs filled in. The family, we need to know this stuff, because Chris's case just bothers me for many reasons. The car doors being left open, the alarm going off, all of these things that draw attention to a person is the exact opposite of what Chris would do. Chris wouldn't make himself a target of, hey, look at me. He just wouldn't do that. Yes, so there is so Brenda Faye Dial asked, there is a woman's shoe. I don't know if it was picked up the same day that they found Will's shoe. If I'm not mistaken, that was talked about. I'm not 100% sure if that was the case. I want to say that the green shoe, that the New Balance, was Will's, and there was a story that there was another shoe. Either way, none of that stuff was handled properly by the Quitman County Sheriff's Office or the officer who picked it up. So whether that evidence was collected or not, it wasn't turned in properly, and so vital evidence was not cataloged, photographed, collected, and turned in properly, which totally destroys a criminal investigation of any kind where DNA gets tested or any kind of test that can be done on fabric or the shoes. I did speak to the deputy chief of Quitman County, and I'm waiting on a call back. Okay, the female shoe was not collected. No one could identify it as April's. Okay, thank you, Scarlett. So that female shoe couldn't positively be identified as April's, so therefore it was not collected. And then that's the other thing too. I think I might get in trouble for this. April's case, as it demands the same amount of attention as every case. The problem with April's case is, again, there's not a lot of people that are coming forward and talking. And I just think that's a shame, and I hope that changes after this episode. I hope that we're able to get more people to come. So, it's okay to talk. It is okay to talk. It's okay. You don't have to be heard on the podcast. April's daughter was not on the podcast because she said, you can quote me, you can discuss what we talked about, and that's fine. I don't have to have you on the podcast. Matter of fact, even if you wanted to talk to me, you don't have to be heard. I can alter your voice. There's a million things I can do. I can make you sound like King Croc if I need to. Just the fact that your information gets out there is vitally important to all of these cases. And so I think at the end of the day, people coming forward, it helps. It very much helps the process and gets the stories out. One of the things that I want to talk about as we're waiting for more people to come on, and again, thank you so much for, hi Jolene, I'm glad you could tune in. Everybody that, hold on one second. The one thing that we talk about too is a lot of the families sit and they're doing everything they can to find their loved one or get people to find their loved one, and they're caught up in that. I think the one thing about a lot of these cases that I've taken on have to do with mental illness, and this is advocacy needs to start for mentally ill people, especially the missing mentally ill people. And there is no alert for mentally ill people. There's no Amber Alert, or in Florida we have a Silver Alert for Alzheimer's patients. And I think that that's something that has to change, because they're mentally ill it shouldn't matter as to them being missing. They're missing, and them having that issue should be just like if a child was missing. In the cases with Misty and Maggie McGinn, this should be a doggone issue. I think that there needs to be some type of alert system for endangered people that could be endangered or vulnerable, and I think that would help. And I think it starts with advocacy, obviously, and making enough noise to get someone to change a law. I mean, Amber Alerts and things like that, unfortunately it took something bad to happen for those things to become a law. But I think, why not try to advocate for it before it takes something like Amber's case to turn into an Amber Alert? yes, we do need um, an alert for the mentally ill. I think it's important because they're vulnerable. They're just as vulnerable as children in some regards, and they can hurt themselves. And I just don't get why we don't do enough for the mentally ill. Also, why does it matter if someone's an addict? Why does it matter if someone went to prison? Why does it matter if they're bipolar or schizophrenic or suffer from depression? Why does it matter? It shouldn't matter. If you're rich, um, you live in a nice neighborhood, you're an honor student, or you work at a Fortune 500 company, your face is all over the news, and you've got FBI, you've got every agency with an alphabet looking for you. But the people that I've covered don't have that advantage, and I think that sucks, and it really makes me angry. And so that's why this little thing that I do is important to me because someone's got to talk about it. Someone has to be their voice, and if no one else is going to do it, then I'll take the torch. And it takes groups like ours to band together with other groups. Think of it like this: if there is a missing persons group, just throwing out Be United, for example, they do great work with law enforcement, wonderful work. If Be United teamed up with another group, and that group teamed up with another group, and you've got 1,000 members, 500 members, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to sign a petition. That's a lot of people to organize and get legislation out, to work on legislation. And it's just, I think it's important. I think that getting these groups to come together and not just care about their case. And I guess the difficulty is that a lot of people are just kind of blinded. They're focusing on one case, but we're all part of a fraternity, and it's a sad fraternity. It's a hellish fraternity of the missing, and things have to be better. They have to be handled better, and it's not training. It has nothing to do with training. It's about getting off your butts. I'm talking about law enforcement in most cases, and doing your job. And I think that it's important that if we get these groups to band together and do that, I think that you could really make a difference. I mean, why not try? Why not take something small and menial, like let's say this podcast or our Facebook group or any of the missing organizations, and band together and charge forward and make some changes. We could save lots of lives. We could do a lot, and it's a very passionate thing for me, and I don't understand why more stuff isn't done. Jacob. Yeah, when I spoke to George the other night, what was troubling about, and we'll go into it later about the case. Jacob gets into an accident, and they don't put together the fact that there was an accident and now the person's missing. They don't put two and two together until it's far too late. I don't understand what they're doing up there, but I mean, that's almost, to me, it's just common sense. And again, I think it has a lot to do with the stigmas that come with mental illness, drug abuse, incarcerations, that type of thing. And it really is just, the stigmas have to go away. The other thing is, a lot of law enforcement officers, it's the badge, pride, and bravado, and they don't listen to the families. My mother, God bless her, she would know if I had a hangover. I don't know how, but she would know if I was hungover. I don't understand why law enforcement doesn't listen to the families when it comes to the missing. law enforcement goes off of patterns, goes off of behavior, statistics, profiling. I get it. Some of that is very useful in certain criminal cases and investigations. But there is nothing more nobody more knowledgeable than a mother about her child. And I think that, God, I just wish they would listen to more parents, because the parents know more than the cops do. That's just my opinion. Who knows the last people in the vicinity of Miss Kate? Sure would help. So yes, so if anybody has any information regarding Miss Katie's house, or whoever that was in the vicinity, this is about the Will Polk case. If anybody knows about any people hanging around Miss Katie's house, that area, the neighborhood, on October the 10th, 2019, that would be very helpful, because I was one of the last places that Will was seen, and that would be good information. And so if anybody knows any of that information, please let us know. So want to just switch gears just for a couple of minutes and talk about what we're doing here in the podcast. So I love how the podcast is done. I love the format. I love how we do it. I think I don't ever want to change that. I think that it works for me. It brings the human side to the story. Also asking questions, because it never hurts to ask questions, because honestly, that's the only way you're going to get the truth. But what we're going to be doing starting April 1st is going on YouTube and profiling updates on some of the cases that we've covered, as well as start working on other cases, because I can do more and I want to do more. Smaller, broken down, smaller versions of profiling cases that maybe we're going to do on the podcast, or maybe that have been done before, but we're just going to go over it again. I think it's helpful, and it's something that we're going to be doing a lot of, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be the better, the more information we get out, the more people we get to join and subscribe and jump on board. I think it's going to help a tremendous amount, and then the more people we can help. I think that doing two profiles, an episode, and then a smaller segment that I call my Lost Soul segment, where I talk about a case and just overview. I think we can do more even with the YouTube channel. So, and that's what we're going to be doing with that. I'm not going to change anything that I do with the podcast. That's going to stay exactly how it is, but I want to be able to do more, and I want to be able to do more than just Facebook videos in my backyard, because that's how I've been doing it lately. And I think it's going to be exciting, and again, the more people we can help, the better. I do want to remind everybody, though, too, that so this coming Wednesday, we're going to have a special episode about baby James, who his mother and the 18-month-old baby live in San Antonio, Texas. The baby hasn't been seen since Thanksgiving. And the mother said, oh, the baby is fine. The baby's with relatives or with this person. She made a bunch of excuses. The mother's aunt, Marisol, has been doing everything she can to get the police involved, doing everything humanly possible to get them to act. And, they kind of just didn't do anything until they found some blood on the baby's bed. And then that's when got the ball rolling. The mother is now in the county jail there on a $250,000 bond. And so the investigation is beginning. So we're going to profile the little man's case on Wednesday, and then we're going to do our normal cases on Friday. It's just one of those things where it's important that we get the information out about this case. So I wanted to do a special episode, and I think that we'll do this more often on cases that I don't want to wait on. And again, I don't want to sound I don't want to sound crass, but a child's case, I will jump all over in a heartbeat. Um, being a father of 8 kids, I couldn't imagine especially a little baby. All these cases are important, but a child's case, I will definitely jump on real quick, and it's very important to me. So we'll be doing that. Also, so you hear me talk a lot about donating to a Patreon page, and and there has been kind of some confusion, so I want to clear some of that up. So the Patreon page helps me kind of hedge the costs of producing the podcast, because I have to pay the host, the Buzzsprout host provider. I pay them monthly, and now the YouTube channel that we're doing. So some of this stuff just unfortunately costs money. I am trying to get sponsors to advertise on the program, and by doing that would offset a lot of costs. So I was putting out a Patreon page, but what I did not know about Patreon is Patreon, once you join the Patreon, it's a monthly subscription. And I wanted to do something that was effective to help podcasts, but it wouldn't break people that wanted to donate. So we were doing between 5 and 25. Lowest was 5, 25 was capping it off. However, but it's monthly. So the only way Patreon would let you do a one-time donation, because they don't have that ability, because it's just how they set it up. What you can do if you choose to donate, you could sign up for Patreon, make a one-time donation. When the money comes out, then you cancel your membership, and then that's it. That may be confusing. I just don't want to do a GoFundMe. I just, for a multitude of reasons, GoFundMes are, they mean well, and they're for people that really, really need money for operations or medical bills or stuff like that. When, something that's an emergency. This isn't an emergency to me. I'm just looking for donations. So I just don't want to do a GoFundMe, and a lot of people anymore nowadays aren't trusting them. So I just don't want to do it. So if you want to do that on the Patreon, you can. Again, you can sign up for the membership, donate whatever you want, either between 5 and 25, and then you can, once the money comes out, you can cancel. You can cancel that. Thank you for all you were doing. We're dog. Yeah. So the Chris Sanders case was the very first case I covered, and was the reason why I one of the cases I wanted to start doing this was the Chris Sanders case. Chris Sanders case never made any sense to me, and even though I've covered it twice, and I've gotten really involved in that case, it still doesn't make sense to me. Chris Sanders going for a walk. He's a lifelong Texan going for a walk in the August heat. I'm a big boy, and I think I'm a little bit bigger than Chris is, and I wouldn't have made it a quarter mile. I'd have passed out, or I'd have seen a snake and started running, and then I'd have passed out. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. So Chris's case was what got me started doing this thing, and it's been an issue with me, because I just don't buy how he disappeared. Another case that bothers me a lot is the 20-year cold case of Joseph Little Joe Bain, also out of Texas. So Jolene, who has been wonderful in dealing with me back and forth, because this is a case that, another one of those cases where I just dove headfirst in, and I felt that nothing that was being said, none of the stories ever made any sense whatsoever. Joe gets a phone call as they're getting ready for bed, and then all of a sudden he has to leave and he takes off. And he leaves his wallet and he leaves his keys. He leaves there and he just walks out the door. No, I don't buy it. There's always been more to Little Joe's case, and hopefully there are things that are coming to fruition that may change what we know. And if it wasn't for Jolene trusting me to work with her on Joe's case, trust is a big deal in doing this. I did not know that there were a lot of scammers involved in the missing. And I can tell you that trust is a big thing with people, especially when you're offering to help them do their case. And so I want to thank Jolene for letting me bug her every 5 minutes, asking questions, digging and digging and digging. It's been awesome to work with her, and I hope that we will continue to do so. And with all these cases, there are a lot of cases that I've covered that I can't say anything about because there are certain intangibles that if we go too far may ruin a case. So I can't go into them. And but when you look at Kaya Taylor, you look at that case. If you look at hold on 1 second. If you look at Veronica's case, there are things there that if you go back and listen, you'll understand what I'm talking about, where you automatically know who the players are. And so you got to be careful. You don't want to mess up the balance that law enforcement has with the family, so that's one thing. The other thing is that there are, especially one case in particular, where you could mess up a relationship where there are children involved, and I don't want to be the one that's responsible for that. So you have to be very, very careful, and it's very, very difficult. Marcy Metters Davis, have I solved the case yet? Yes, I can say I did, and it was awesome. So the case that involved Timothy Wynn. Timothy Wynn is from Rhode Island, and he came down to Florida with a girlfriend and his son, and to try to make a life down here in Florida. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and Tim kind of lost his way. I got a phone call from his sister Christina, and as we were going on about the case, I found out that he was arrested for some stupidity that they let him off. So he was arrested, was in jail for I think over a month or so, was released, charges dropped. So he shouldn't even been in jail. He got COVID while he was in jail, and then they released the man in his doggone underwear in the middle of in Florida. It's been cold. It's Florida not normally below average. It's been below average this year, so they let this man out in his underwear. Well, because I found out it was in Clearwater. This is like a 45-minute drive from where I currently live in Florida. The police were not looking for him. And when I say they were not looking for him, they were not looking for him. They were doing nothing. They said, yep, he's a vagrant. He can go wherever he wants. They weren't looking for him. So I told Christina I was going to go down there in the area of where he was picked up by the police and just start showing his flyer around. I brought my 18-year-old daughter with me. And we went down there, and within 30 minutes, I was speaking with him. I talked to several people. They pointed me to an area where he'd been known to hang out, and there he was. And he was really reluctant to come and speak with me because I'm holding a picture of him. And I said, "Hey, man, can you take a look at this guy? His sister and his mother are really worried about him. he was wearing a red bandana. I'll never forget it. And he just looked at me and he's like, "Who wants to know?" And I showed him the picture, and he pulled down his handkerchief and he said, "Yeah, that's me." And I was shocked, and my daughter looked at me and I looked at her, and I was like, "Dude, you got to call your sister." Um, that was a high, and I rode that high for at least 2 weeks. And then we just had to get him home. And but I was so grateful for that experience to to get him home with his family. And I I talked to I talked to them this week, and he's still doing well. He's slowly but surely getting back on track, and I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. So that was my case, and I was so and because when you get that feeling that you found someone, and it I can't explain it was just an emotional high, and you want to keep doing it, and it keeps you fighting. It really does, and I'll never forget it. And we not to mention that Tim and I we bonded. We had a bond. I was kind of a pain in the neck for that weekend until his mom came and got him. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I was I was riding a high. So we're 46 minutes in to this thing. I want to thank everybody for coming on and listening to me rant for a while. It would be cool if we could hear you guys, but it's been awesome that I can take a look at your comments, and I love doing what I do. Um, I do put a lot. I get emotionally attached to these people because you have to not only feel what the parents and the families are feeling, but you want to feel for the people that you're looking for. Andrew DeWeese, real quick, is another one that he touches my heart, and I'm not saying they don't all touch my heart, but Andrew, for all intents and purposes, felt like he had no one. He battled depression and he felt lost. That guy was a ladies' man. Honestly, he's a ladies' man. He and very handsome fella. He's got a Cheshire cat smile, and he has a lot of people that do care about him, and you know it just I don't understand. I guess from his point of view, when you're battling an addiction and you're sometimes you hit rock bottom and you don't think nobody cares. That young man has a lot of people that care about him, and I hope that that he can see that, and if he's close and around, he just realizes that those people really love and care for him, and they want him to come home. And I want him to come home. I want them all to come home, and I'm not going to stop until we do that. We get them all home. So as I wrap this up, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'd like to do this about once a month, do it live and talk to you guys and answer your questions. I think that communicating is so important, especially with the people that you see profile pictures and you share comments with. It's awesome. I again, I love doing what I do. I love talking to families. I love doing what we can to help and bringing the attention to these cases. The YouTube channel will be premiering April 1st. That's a Thursday. It's my daughter's birthday. One of my daughter's birthdays. So we will be starting that April the 1st. And so subscribe now. Get it out of the way. Why wait? Just do it now. Save the trouble. Save your thumb. Just hit that subscribe button. Share. Continue to listen. Our numbers have almost doubled in 2 weeks, and I think that is a testament to all of you sharing our stories that we're putting out there. And I'm by any means, I am not a professional. I make mistakes. I was nervous coming on here. It's my first one, and and I had to take my glasses off because of the glare, and I couldn't really see. So I'm doing this kind of blind. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. If I didn't get to if I didn't get if you didn't get a chance to answer or ask a question, I think we're going to do this again. I think we'll do it once a month. I think this is a good idea, so we can talk back and forth, and you guys can, and hopefully we'll have updates on more cases. The more we go, and like I tell everybody, if I do a case, it's not going to be a one and done deal. We're in it for the long haul, and as we take on more cases, is it going to be a little rough? No, because I work Monday through Friday. Sometimes I work Saturdays. Sometimes I work on vacation. My wife is a very lovely woman, and she lets me get away with it. So thank you very much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Very thankful. If anybody didn't get to see this, I will be putting it on the YouTube channel. So make sure you tell your friends. Listen, like, share. Those are the 3 things. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Hug your family. And if there's anyone out there that has a case that they would like us to look into, this way. There it goes. Nope, that way. Email address right there, or go up and get me on Facebook Messenger. I'll get the hang of this one day, I promise. All right, guys, that's it for me. Take care. God bless, and have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you soon.